A few of you have asked me to make some hafting videos. You want to know how I haft my throwing axes. So here we are, guys. The World Axethrowing League Bad Axe. We're going to rehaft this head right here onto one of these World Axethrowing League handles. Now, I know you might be asking yourself, Wes, why did you go with the World Axethrowing League handles? We're going to talk about that in this video. So let's choose one of these handles and put it on this axe head, and we're going to design a really cool throwing axe. So let's get into it. Welcome back to the channel, guys. This is Wes, the Suburban Viking. Of course, we got Dave here with us. Say hey, Dave.
Hey, what's up, everyone?
And we are Midgard Axe. And we're doing hafting today, guys. We're going to haft this bad axe head here, which I did a review on. If you haven't seen it, go back and check it out. I'll link it up at the top somewhere, and you can go and check it out, how I do a review on this thing and tell you guys how well this thing flies and how well it does for axe throwing. What a great flying axe. Anyway, handle broke, like some of these handles do. I've said that before. And the reason why I made this video, and I'm going to make this one a little differently, is because I told you guys in one of the previous videos that I wanted to give the World Axethrowing League replacement handles a chance. I've never used them before. And I think maybe with how I haft axes and how I design things, I think I can make these handles work, and I think they'll hold up. I could be wrong, but in this video here, we're going to start that process. Now, I will tell you guys, when I went onto the World Axethrowing League website, I ordered 4 new replacement handles. And I got 2 Ace of Spades handles that look pretty good. They have shoulders on the back. If you guys don't know what a shoulder is on an axe handle, it's this part here. We got shoulders that flare out, which means that it's not the same length from where the curf is cut past the shoulder. It kind of comes down, then it flares out. I like axe handles with shoulders on them. I think the axe head sits better on a shoulder. It holds better on a shoulder, and you can throw it better when it's on a shoulder because you're not going to get a ton of movement, okay? That's really cool. Got a bad axe handle. As you can see here, it's very similar to the 2 Ace of Spades handles I have here. We have a nice shoulder on it. Now, I will say that the 2 Ace of Spades handles are very similar, where the bad axe handle is a little thicker from left to right, right at the top of the shoulder. As you can see here, I'll flip all these around. This is the bad axe handle. This is the 2 Ace of Spades handles. This one's just a little bit thicker right in here. However, there is not much of a difference other than that. I would say it really doesn't matter at this point, just from what I'm looking at. Doesn't matter if you order the Ace of Spades or the bad axe handle. They're very similar. Now, here's where things get really interesting. I have one more handle to show you. I got a King of Diamonds handle. I love that axe. That's one of my favorite World Axethrowing League axes. And in the future, I'm going to get another King of Diamonds because I want to customize it. So I was like, well, I'll go ahead and order a handle for the King of Diamonds since I'm ordering handles. And this is what I got. I'm not really sure what's going on with this. I don't even know how I'm going to be able to use this thing, to be honest with you. There's no shoulder, and there's not very much wood up at the top of this kind of shoulder right here, guys. I mean, look at this. I'll put it where the shoulder should be on this one, where this shoulder's at here. And this one right here is the bad axe handle. I'm going to put the shoulders together. Now, as you can see, this one's way longer, but I have no wood to work with up in here. Very strange handle, very thin. There's absolutely nothing going on. I honestly don't know if I'm even going to be able to use this handle on much of anything. I'm just not. So just want to give you guys some information. I don't know if this is a dud or if this is how all of the replacement handles look for the King of Diamonds, but I wouldn't buy this one. I don't even know what the heck I'd use it for. It'll probably just go into one of the bins that I have in my shed, and replacement handles that I maybe will use in the future, maybe for a smaller axe head, and I can make my own shoulder at the top. I don't know, but that one was weird. So the reason why I like having shoulders on throwing axe handles is because when you seat your axe head onto the top of your axe handle, when you have a handle that's like this, there's no shoulder. So which means that if I was to put the axe head down to here and stop it, it's going to continue to go down unless it splays out. And it doesn't even splay out all that much. So if I was to put the bad axe head on this handle, basically it's just going to run its way all the way down eventually. It's going to loosen up it will, which is why I don't like using axe handles like this with no shoulder on them. You'll also get a very secure fit down on the shoulder when you put your axe head on here. It's going to bite back here, and it's going to give it a ledge to sit on along with the flare right in this area, okay? So it's not going to move down on the axe head like the Corporal did. That axe handle was similar to this one, to where it was sat so high up onto the actual axe handle that it just kept moving down and down and down, which is why I like shoulders. They work really well for normal felling and splitting axes, but especially for throwing axes, I always recommend people to make sure when they get a throwing axe, if they're using a wood handle, make sure you get a shoulder on your throwing axe handle. It will help you out tremendously, especially if you're going to take this thing out and throw it for a very long time. Over a year or two of consistent throwing, you're going to want a shoulder. It'll help you out in the long run, I promise. As you know, and I know, the World Axethrowing League likes to have their heads up really high on their axe handles. When I got this handle in, it was very telling because I got a wooden wedge with it, and I was looking at the curf that they cut into it, and I'm sitting here measuring this thing, and I'm going, that's it. That's where they want you to put your axe head, right here. This could be one of the reasons why a lot of the World Axethrowing League handles break inside the actual axe eye. This is all the wood you're getting basically from here to here that's holding the actual axe head on, right here. And you've got a curf in it, which has made it even weaker in a sense. But if you were to go all the way down the axe head onto the shoulder, look how much thicker the wood gets. So when you cut your curf, you got a lot more wood in the actual axe head eye. Thought that was interesting. And the reason why I know they want you to put it here, at least I think that's why, is because normally speaking, when you have these axe heads on these handles, usually they stop about way up here, right? So, and then it's flush up the top of the axe head, kind of like this one is here, guys, how it's flush. They don't splay it over the top. And your wedge matches your curf. So that's all you're getting. That's all the splay you're getting. Also, I know I'm talking a lot, but hear me out, guys. This is kind of important, at least it is to me. So if I was to take the new bad axe handle and put it up to the old one here and kind of just do a little bit of a comparison, let me show you guys something. As you can see here, the curf is it's not even cut a halfway down the actual axe head. And if you guys have watched some of my hafting videos previously, I've told you guys that when I cut my curf onto my axe handles, I like going down 3/4 of the way of the axe head. And we're not even going down halfway. So we're not really getting a lot of splaying of the wood with the wooden wedge inside the actual axe head eye. We're only splaying from about here to here, the wood splaying inside the actual axe head eye. That might be why these handles are loosening up too. You really should be going to about 3/4 of the way down with your curf, in my experience, in my opinion. It's never failed me. Every time I've done an axe hafting video where I've told you guys that I've hafted axes and I've come outside and thrown them, very, very rarely do I get axe heads that come loose. They just don't. And I do a really good job when I cut my curf to make sure I come down to 3/4 of the way and making my wedge longer. It splays it out and it gets more contact inside the actual axe head eye, which kind of flares it out inside there. Put some boiled linseed oil in, and that thing flares out even more. It gets a really nice tight fit. So here's what we're going to do really quick. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take this handle off, take the electrical tape off, and I'm going to try to push the handle out of this actual axe head eye from the bottom of the axe head to the top. So basically I'm going to drive it this way. And I'm going to try to preserve as much of this actual handle inside here as I can. So that way when we take it out, we can kind of look at it and see what they did with this one and how far the wooden wedge went down and how far the curf was cut. So let me cut it and then I'll come back and show you guys what I found. So I got the handle out of the axe head eye and I found something telling. Could be. I will tell you guys what I did was, to save time, I just cut the actual axe handle off at the bottom of the axe head. And then I used an old tool, which is an old council tool axe handle I've had laying around that I turned into a beater stick probably about 1.5 years, almost 2 years ago. Guys, look at this thing. You guys want to know if council tool handles are pretty decent? Look at this. Look at the knob. I've been smashing this thing for 1.5 years, taking wedges and everything else out of axe heads. and has yet to break or anything. So pretty cool. So what I did was I just took the, after I cut it off, I took the old couch tool handle, put it in the bottom here, and just drove it from the bottom up. Okay, I had the steel barrel wedges in, and the wedge was still in the handle, so I had to go from the bottom up. I'm going to come around to the back of the camera and put this in your face and show you guys what I found out just by looking at this, and it's pretty telling. So let me come back around there and I'll show it to you. I did find something telling. And remember how I told you guys that it felt like when those handles were breaking inside the actual axe head eye, that maybe there was already some compromising going on with the wood inside there? I could be wrong, and this is just speculation. However, if you look at this wedge, the actual wedge that they slam into the axe handle, it's starting to go down here into the handle where there's no curf, which tells me that the wedge was too long for the curf, so they slammed it in there. Now, what happens when you do that, which is why I've told you guys in a previous video, you need to make sure you measure your wooden wedge to your curf. You don't want it too long, because if you slam and slam and slam, it's happened to me before when I first started hafting axes. When you slam that wooden wedge into your axe handle and that wooden wedge is too long and you're wanting it to be flush, or you think it needs to go down farther and it's bottomed out, what'll happen is that wooden wedge, it may not crack. It'll crack your axe handle. And as you can see here, right, the wedge is starting to go inside the actual axe handle here where there's no curf, and it's split. Now, could that be from a axe throw? Yes. And I'm not going to rule that out. That may not be what they did. It could have been from my axe throws. However, I've told you guys that I've noticed that with clean axe throws and clean bit strikes without hitting the knob or hitting the eye, I mean, a normal throw hitting the target like it's supposed to, that these wedges start to break apart. And if you remember, I forgot what axe it was, guys. You'll have to help me out. Where I told you that the axe wedge, the wooden wedge that went into the axe handle, was starting to sink in. And looking at what they provided, there's no way that can sink in because the wedge is a little bit longer than the curf, which tells me that when they put the wooden wedge into the handle, they're slamming it so hard that it's going inside the actual axe handle where there's no curf at, causing the axe handle to become compromised. And that could be one of the reasons why the axe handles are breaking inside the actual axe head eyes. They're slamming the wedge that's too long into a curf that's too short, causing the handle to compromise right there. And after throws like I throw hard, it doesn't take long before the wedge starts to break apart. You've compromised the wedge and the axe handle at that point. Just speculation, but I thought that was pretty telling. I'm normally not much of a shit talker. I'm normally a guy that if someone says something, I'm like, okay, well, I'll just show you or I'll prove it. And I like keeping receipts. I keep everything, or at least I try to, so I can come back at different times to show what it is that I'm saying. Here we are. This is believe the ace of spades, and this is the butcher. This could be the ace of spades, this could be the butcher. Either way, doesn't matter. They're both World Axethrowing League handles, and one of them's the ace of spades, and one is a butcher from previous reviews that I've done. And as you guys can see here, almost every time these things break, they break in the same spot. If I was to take the bad axe and put it on one of these handles here and just show you guys where it's breaking at, right there. Right there at the base of the actual axe head, where probably the wooden wedge has been shoved into the handle and caused compromise. Caused it to be compromised and then snaps right in here. And guys, I mean, look at the shoulder on this one, and where the axe head probably stopped about right here. You got all this wood right here they could have used. That would have been a lot better for a curf to be cut in and used, and would have held probably its rigidity and strength a lot better. And make sure that your wedge is fit to your axe handle curf. It will save you a lot of heartache from spending all this time shaving the handle down, getting it fit perfectly just to have the handle go to shit because of a small little tiny wooden wedge. Take the time, guys, be meticulous with some of this stuff, and you'll have a great experience with your axe handle and your axe head for months and years to come, because some of these axe handles, if they're put together correctly on an axe head, like I've said before, they make it one. It's unison. The axe head and the axe handle together are one singular unit, and when they're put together correctly, you can use them for months and years, just like I do with mine. So without further ado, just want to show you guys that. Let's get to hafting. Okay, so we're going to use the bad axe handle that I got from the World Axethrowing League. There, as you can see, it says bad axe on it. This is one we're going to try to use. I have yet to fit it to anything, and we might have to use another handle. I don't know if it's thick enough. We're going to find out. So what I like doing is that when I get an axe handle like this, and I have an axe head, you know, it's basic, guys. I'll put it in just like this and see where we stop. Okay, this is as far down as I can go before I can't go any further. Okay, so here we are. And guys, I'll be honest with you, I've only got about 1/4 of an inch left to go before it's where they would normally seat it at. I mean, that's not really much of anything, in my opinion. I mean, it shouldn't be that close to the top and be hafted there. So we got some space. As you guys can see here, we got some space in here. We got a lot of space in here, okay? So this thing's gonna need to come down some. I'm gonna try to get this axe head down to about right here. Normally speaking, if I go with what they have cut, I've got about 1/4 of an inch. So their axe head would stop about somewhere right in here. Right there is where they would stop this axe head on this handle, which in my opinion is way too high. We need to get down to about right in here. So probably another 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch farther down, maybe even an inch on some handles farther down than what they have. Now, I will tell you guys, the farther you go down, the shorter the handle is going to become. However, like I've said before, I think these World Axethrowing League handles really shine between the 15 and a quarter would be as low as I would probably go with them. 15 1/4 up to 16 inches is probably where I think these things shine the best. They fly the best. You can throw them at 17, but I think, in my experience throwing all these, 16 inches down to 15 1/4 is where it's at with these things. So let's go ahead and take my hammer and we will tap the bottom of the knob here to get the axe handle to go up through the actual axe head eye, and then we'll see where we're sitting at with a few smacks of the knob, and then I'll come back and show you guys what it looks like after a few hits and where we're sitting at and what we're looking like. So let's go ahead and do that now. Okay, with just a few smacks, guys, we've got the actual axe head where they would have it if they hafted it, okay? And as you can see here, we are curling. Of course we're curling, but we're not even close to where I want to be at. I want to be down to about right here, okay? So we got another about a 1/2 inch to go, but we are sitting basically flush with the handle where they would haft it at. So that, I don't like that. That's not my game. That's not what I like doing. I don't think that should be that high on the handle. That's just my personal opinion. But we're going to get this thing down to where I like it at, and then we're going to throw it with it on, with no wedge, see how well it throws with nothing in it. I'm not going to put a wedge in. I'm not going to do nothing. I'm going to sit it where it sits at, where I want it to be at, and we're going to throw it and see how well it sticks and see how well the handle holds on this axe head, because that tells me a lot too. If we can get this axe head on this shelf right here, it squeaks down. It's not a shelf where it just plops down and then stops. It's a gradual, tapering effect on the actual axe head. I should be able to throw this thing with nothing in it, no wedge or nothing, and it shouldn't move. So that's what we're going to do. So let me smack this thing down a little bit more. I'll probably go ahead and take the actual axe head off and go ahead and do a little sanding. We got to move down anyway because we do have still a little bit of space right in here. I want to make sure there's no space with this handle on this actual axe head. I want that eye filled up all with wood. So we'll go ahead and knock this handle down a little bit farther. I'm good back here. The back looks good. The front needs a little more. And the actual axe head itself looks like it's starting to kind of go this way a little bit. As you can see here, see how it's sitting on the handle? It looks like it's kind of going like this. It's because this side of the handle is letting the axe head go down while this is binding. So another thing you can have happen too is if you put your axe head on your handle and then you look at it, you know, do one of these numbers here, kind of look at it here, and you see the bit's kind of sitting. The bit should be up and down like this, but it's sitting like this. This side right here is not coming down while this side is. So what I need to do is I need to take the head off, work a little bit more on this side to get this side to kind of even itself back out. Then we'll go back down further. So let's do that. And real quick, before I start shaving this handle down to get the head to go further down, I want to show you guys, see how we got curling? I'm not flicking you off. See how we got curling right here? Okay, so if we take the actual axe head and we put it up to where the curling's at, which is where the axe head eye walls were stopping, you can see here that the axe handle is where they would haft it at. It's flush with the top of this here. Look at that curve, guys. Look at that curve compared to the actual axe head. As I told you guys before, I like mine down about 3/4 of the way, which this curve should be ending somewhere in here. And they've got it all the way up there. So that is very telling as well. I think I said something about that before, but I want to show you guys on the new handle what it looked like. So that's where we're at here. You guys can even go down a half. A half would be somewhere down like right in this area, another 1/4 of an inch down with the curf. But in order to get it to sit on the shoulder, I'm going to need to bring the curf down a lot farther. But just wanted to throw that out there because I noticed it on the new handle. There you go. I like doing things old school, and I like being as minimalist as possible. So I got this old wood rasp here that I'm going to use because I don't think we need a lot of material taken off from about here to here. There's not a lot that needs to be taken off. So you could actually use your knife, and I've showed this before where I use a knife. Now, this thing is dull. Make sure your knives are sharp if you're going to do this. This thing is really dull. But you can use it like this if you want and take off material. Kind of get an idea of how much you're doing, because you want to try to match the other side as best as possible. So you can use that, or you can use a wood rasp. And I will tell you guys, I met somebody the other day who was asking me, you know, new to woodworking, which I'm not going to say his name because I don't like making fun of people, because it's dumb to make fun of people that are trying to do stuff. Everybody doesn't learn things at the same time. And he was telling me that he had a wood rasp, and he said that every time he used it, he wasn't getting any wood taken off of it. And I was like, well, what's going on with it? Send me a picture of it. And he sent me a picture of his wood rasp, and it was covered with wood all in here. And I said, do you clean it? And he said, no. So guys, if you get any type of file, especially wood files, make sure you get a brush like this. This is a welder's brush, so you can clean out your wood rasp, so that way the teeth can do what they're supposed to do, okay? I know people are probably like, are you kidding me? Well, guys, you know, everybody's not the same. Everybody doesn't learn at the same time. And he was a younger guy, so, you know, no point in, you know, making a big deal about it. Just tell him what he's doing wrong, and then he can figure it out later and work it out. So that's, you know, that's kind of how I like to do things. So here we are. We're just going to kind of hit this a little bit here. And guys, what I like doing, I'm not going to stay right here, okay? I'm going to drag it a little bit down. Not too much, but a little bit. I don't want to just stay in this area right here. Staying in this area right here, you're going to cause a shelf. And not the kind of shelf that's a good shelf, a bad shelf. Which means that when you put the axe head on, it's just going to slide and it's going to stop. Okay? You want it to squeak on like this and stop. That's how you get the best friction fit before you drive your wedge into this handle. So I like to kind of go down a little bit like this, because I'm curling here, and I want it to sit about right here. So I'm going to bring it down just a little bit in this area here, okay? What I like doing this too is at this point in time, I'll take the finer side and kind of go through. You don't have to do this. Some people don't do this. I do it. I'll take the finer side and clean it up. So that way when I go to put my axe head back on to slam the knob to see where it's sitting at, it's not hanging up on any, you know, like large chunks of wood that could be hanging it up and give you a false seat. That can happen. And I'm not doing anything special here that no one else can't do. Pretty simple, pretty easy. You guys can't see me, but what I'm doing is I've got my head turned to the side and I'm looking at this axe handle here compared to the bottom. And we did take a pretty good amount off. I mean, for what I think we need, I think we've got a good amount off to try it again. I'm not going to show you what I'm going to do next because all I'm going to do is just flip the handle and do the exact same thing. So let me do that really quick.
You forgot the axe ritual. That axe would be hafted by now if you would listen to me.
I'm perfectly fine doing it the way I do it, Dave. I appreciate your support and help, but
whatever.
I got this. Okay, guys, so now that we've got both sides shaved down a little bit, we're going to do the same thing again, which is we're going to put the axe head back onto the handle, and I'm going to kind of squeak it down. Just doing this. Okay, so now what we're doing is that we're about flush with what we did. I should be able to knock it down a little bit more and see where we're at. So let me grab my hammer and do that. Okay, here we go, guys. It's coming out. We got a handle coming out. Okay, so cool. I want to go down about another 1/4 of an inch, somewhere about right in this area here, right where the flare basically hits its max, where it's not flaring out anymore. I want to go right above that, okay? We do have some curling going on at the front here on this side. On this side, we got some curling going on here as well. I will tell you guys, at this point in time, you can do a couple different things. I'm taking this slow because some people said they wanted me to do a hafting video from start to finish with every step. I've done bits and pieces of hafting in the previous videos, so this one's going to be a long one. It just is. But I want it to help some people out there and to show you guys what I do, okay? Now, if this was me and I was doing it on my own, what I'd do is I'd take the head off. I know how much I need to shave off to be able to smack this thing down and get it where it needs to be at. But the reason why I didn't do that was because I want to show you guys something. I didn't shave it enough. And the reason why I didn't shave it enough is because sometimes people don't do that. And they have to take the head off and on, off and on, off and on, which is fine. That's totally cool. I've done that before too, because I don't want to break a handle and I want to make sure it's right. Here we have curling going on right here. So what you really should do is take this head off and only concentrate right in this area where the curling's at and leave this area alone. Now looking at it, I can see it's starting to flare out a little bit, that I probably will hit this side just a little bit. But if you're close to where you want to be at and it's only curling here, do not mess with this here. If you knock this side down as much as where it's curling at here, what's going to happen is when it gets where it needs to be at or where you want it to be at, you could potentially have space in your axe head eye because you've taken too much material. Right now, if the axe head was sat where it's at, you're good. You just need to fix the curling a little bit. However, I'm going to bring it down farther. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the axe head off. I'm not messing with this area here, and I'm not going to mess with anything back here or up front right here, just in this area here. I'll smack it back down and show you guys where I'm at again, okay? So we're going to take this step by step. Easy does it, and then we'll eventually get where we need to be at. And then maybe in the next video when I do, what's the other one we're doing? There's like 2 or 3 that need to be rehafted. Anyway, when I do another one in there, guys, I'll do it quick like I do it and show you guys how fast you can do it. But this one, we're just taking it slow, step by step, so that way if people want to replace their handles, they can. So I just sanded it back down again the same way I showed you guys before. Put it down, sand on one side, flipped it over to the other side, okay? So let's go ahead and put this axe head on and try to get it on where we need to be at, okay? Let's just give it a few taps on my jaw horse here and see where we're sitting at. Make sure it's nice and level and even. It is even, guys. I will tell you, I didn't fix the bit. The bit's a little wavy from when I threw it. These things do that. So it's not my hafting job, it's the actual axe. bit is all jacked up. I can fix it though. It's just right about the middle of the way up to the toe. It kind of kicks this way, so it looks like when you look down it, it's off, but it's just the bit. We know those World Axethrowing League bits and cheeks are so thin that they'll kind of wave on you sometimes, especially when you're throwing them hard. So, but this is looking good just without even hitting it with the hammer, guys. I'm here with no curling. So I think I'll be able to get down to about right here, which is where I want to be at with the hammer. We'll see. I will tell you guys, there's only one downfall by doing this slow, if you want to call it a downfall, which is you're having to smack the handle here and the eye here when you're taking the head on and off. You don't want to do it too much, okay? Smacking this knob with a hammer so many times, eventually it's going to split, break, crack, and then the handle's done. You can fix it if you want, but I'm just saying sometimes it's more advantageous to try to get as much wood off as you can at the beginning and try to get it down to where you want it at from the start instead of doing it slow like this. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, but just keep in mind that if you go slow and you smack this knob over and over and over and over again, don't be surprised eventually if one of these handles snaps, breaks, cracks, or whatever, because you know, it's not supposed to take that much abuse. So let's go ahead and smack it again, see where we're at. I think we're going to be at where we need to be at on this one. So let's go ahead and try it. As you can see here, we've got curling going on right in this area. Not very much going on back here. When we flip it around to the back, there's a tad bit. On this side, we've got a little bit right here, and that's it. So I'm gonna take the axe head off one more time. I'm gonna take care of the curling that's going on right here and a little bit in here, and I'm pretty sure we're gonna be about right here the next time that I smack it down, and that's exactly where I wanna be at. So let's go ahead and take the axe head off, shave it down, smack it one more time, and we'll be looking good. Let's do it. Sorry guys, every time I come outside to do something, somebody starts a lawnmower or a leaf blower. Sorry, I can't control that. So real quick, all I'm gonna show you guys is how I like to take my axe head off after I've kind of sat them on that axe head and I wanna take them back off again. I'll use that tool that I made, the council tool handle, and I'll just put it right here. Let me move the mic back so it's not jarring your ears. And I'll just kind of stick it right here. Actually, let me turn it around here, and I'll give it a few whacks. Boom, handle's out. And that's another reason why it's really better to try to get this thing sat fast as possible, because not only are you beating the knob, but you're beating this too to get it out. Normally speaking, you're okay as long as you don't come down like on, like say for instance, if you were to come down on it like right here, that could be an issue. You could break that. Also too, if you do a lot of hafting and you're learning how to haft and you're worried about using a steel hammer, you can get a like 3 or 4 pound wooden mallet. That's something that I'm gonna get this year, is a 3 or 4 pound hickory wooden mallet. They sell them at Woodcraft. I'm gonna get one of those and use those instead. I think they work a little bit better than these. These things, man, if you're not careful, boom, it'll take out that whole handle. So, all right, so I'm gonna thin this down a little bit more. As you can see here, guys, we got curling here. Got some curling right in there. This looks good, this looks good. We don't need nothing right here. Got a bunch of it right in this area here. This is taken down a little bit and then a little bit here. So I'm thinking with this sanding here, we should be good. So let me sand it and then we'll smack it back down. There we go, guys. I'm where I want to be at. Right there. Just right above the shoulder. I mean, just right above it. Look how much we have coming up at the top. I do want to measure it really quick. Let me go grab my tape measure and give you, I'm going to cut this down. I am going to splay it over, but I'm going to cut it down and I'll give you guys a measurement of what it's come out to since I've put it all the way down on the shoulder. This handle came in at almost 17¼ inches by itself. What we're going to do is we're going to measure it to where I'm going to stop the handle and splay it over, and I'll give you guys what it is now. 16½. 16½. So we got it down about 3/4 inch farther down on the handle to that shoulder. So theoretically, I could probably go down another 1/4 inch and get a full inch down, you know, handle wise. So this would be about 16¼ inches at the end, but I think it's good right there where it's sitting. I don't think it's going to go down any farther. So let's throw this thing a few times just the way it is and see how well it's on the handle and see if we get any movement. I don't see any space at all. It looks good. We've got very minimal curling, basically none right here. We got a tad here and just a tad bit right here. I'm not worried about that at all. So let's throw it a few times and see what we come up with and see if it stays on this handle. Let's throw it. Now I'm not warm. I haven't thrown it all today. I'm not warm. I'm just going to throw it a few times and stick it into the target. No movement. I don't know if you can see, I'm really nervous about throwing right here. I've got my jaw horse right here and I'm afraid I'm gonna run into it. But let's check it out. No movement. Again, no movement. Not moving. Not bad, guys. Not bad at all. All right, guys, so there we go. Threw it a bunch of times. It's looking good. It's sitting exactly where I want it to sit at. If I can throw it that many times and it doesn't move at all, that's where I want it to be. Right there, almost on the shoulder, just a hair above the shoulder here. I probably could have gone down a little bit more, but I think it's good right here, okay? 16½ inches. I'll probably cut a little bit off at the knob down here. Probably make it about 15¾ So, but here's what we're gonna do now. If you didn't notice, we got a little bit of space right in here. That's okay. I'm gonna fill it in with the wooden wedge when we slam it in there to do the final seating of this actual axe head on the handle, okay? So let me get this axe head off. Let me work with the wedge a little bit, see what I'm gonna do with it, and then I'll come back and we'll put the wedge inside the axe and we'll finally haft this thing. One thing that I like doing that you don't have to do is I like using epoxy when I seat my axe head on my axe handle with my wedge. You don't have to use epoxy. Some people do, some people don't. The reason why I like using epoxy is because this is a throwing axe and we're not always going to be accurate. We're going to get knob strikes, we're going to get eye strikes. And with that epoxy, it's just added insurance to keep the handle from moving up and down on the actual axe head. It's worked fabulously for me for years. I continuously use it. I don't have any issues. The only time I have issues with it is when I break the handle and it's time to take the handle out of the axe head eye. It can be a chore. But if the handle doesn't break, I can enjoy that axe for 2 or 3 years before the handle breaks. So I like using it. It's added insurance. So what I do is I'll just put it on like a piece of paper or something. I'll mix it together and then I'll show you guys how I put it on there really quick. Let me mix this up. I like using the JB Weld steel color because it matches the actual axe head color when it dries, which is really cool. So what I'll do is I'll put some on the handle, not a ton. And I'll kind of just put it on here like this. And just kind of move it around a little bit where I know the axe, and kind of move it around a little bit where I know the axe head's going to sit. Doesn't have to be a ton. I like getting it on the edges too, on the back side as well. And I'll do that on the other side, and I'll put a little bit on the inside of the axe head eye. And then I'll shove it down and then I'll put my wedge on. For the purpose of this video, I'm going to use what they sent me because a lot of people out there don't have access to different wedges, or they're going to use what is sent to them. So I'm going to use the wedge that the World Axethrowing League gave me in the package with the axe handle. I recut the curf down. As you can see here, I cut it back down, and now we're sitting, if you look where the mark is, where the head's at, we're about 3/4 of the way down. For the wedge, I like using Gorilla Glue. It's really nice because it holds really well, but at the beginning, it's really slick. So it almost acts like a lube going into the curf there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to set it inside there, get it seated where I want it at. And the best way that I can tell you to do these right here can make or break your axe when you do these wedges. because if they're not done correctly, they will break, they will splinter, they'll do all kinds of crazy stuff, and then you're kind of screwed. So what I like doing is I like putting mine, I didn't cut it correctly, it's not a big deal. I like putting mine in there and getting it even first before I go pounding it. So I'll put it in there like this, kind of stand back to show you, and I'll just kind of tap it to get it even before I actually go to slam it in there, okay? So I get it started, get it even, okay? So it's even in there, we're good to go. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take it over to my log over there, and all I do is I put it right here, like this, on the log, and then I take my hammer and smack it down until it goes down in there. So let me run over there and do that really quick, and I'll come back and show you the final product. And we're done. Pretty easy, guys. All you have to do is just, like I said, put it on a flat surface with that wedge there, tap the knob, the wedge goes right up in there, it'll bottom out. This one did. Now, I will say two things. Number one, it is a little uneven. I need to take my Dremel and kind of Dremel it to make it even across. But I will say the only thing I don't care for with these handles are the eye of the, where the kerf is cut in the handles, seems to be really dry and really brittle. And you can start to have breakage. As you see here, guys, I had the handle just chip off right there. It's not a huge deal. I can fix that, okay? With a little bit of wood glue in there and splaying this over with the steel barrel wedge, it'll fix that. It'll splay it up against the kind of axe head eye wall and kind of keep it there. But that's the only thing I've noticed so far about these handles is that you would probably, in my opinion, if I do this again, which I will, I'm going to bring the axe head a little bit farther down, maybe to almost right above or on the actual part where it flares right here, maybe another 1/4 of an inch down. And the reason why is because the wood seems to get a little bit more durable as it goes down. This eye, let me grab the other one. Where's the other axe handle? Hang on, let me find them. So this is the Ace of Spades handle. I've noticed that the wood, like right in this area, just feeling it, I could just snap that off with my hand. It's really brittle right in here. But once it gets to about right here, it feels like it starts to get a little bit stronger. So in my opinion, doing this, you know, hafting a World Axethrowing League head on a handle that they produce for the first time, I think I'd probably come down maybe all the way down to like right here. That way you get more rigidity in this wood that's right in here, because this wood up here, guys, is just really brittle feeling. And when you go to smack it up and down, it's really easy to just chip pieces off of this wood up here, because it just, I don't know, you can hear how dry it is too. It's just, I would come down a little bit further if it was me. That's just me. And that could be why a lot of people that are buying these handles and hafting heads on them and using the kerf that they cut, it's just really brittle right in here. I noticed that. So anyway, let me get the Dremel out. I'll cut that thing down. We'll knock one of the steel barrel wedges in it, because I only think that my axe is only going to need one steel barrel wedge. I won't need two. So let me get it flush and even, throw the steel barrel wedge in it, and I'll show you guys the final product. That axe is done, rehafted on a new handle. Now, I will tell you guys from my experience, based on all the axes that I've hafted and thrown over the years, when is it best to put a steel barrel wedge in? I find it to be the best when the actual epoxy and the glue is still wet. Okay, if you think about it, when you drive the axe handle into the actual axe head with glue or epoxy and it's still wet, it's splaying itself up against the axe eye wall there. When you drive the steel barrel wedge in, it's pushing it against the wall even more. So you want to do it while it's still wet, so that way it moves and you get that compression. So that way when it dries with that compression up against the actual axe head. That's just based on what I've done. It seemed to work out really well for me. Now, I will tell you guys, we do get cracking when we use steel barrel wedges pretty frequently. I will say that. Not a big deal. Whenever I use epoxy and I slam my steel barrel wedge in there, the epoxy kind of oozes up and goes inside all those cracks anyway, so I'm not worried about it. I've thrown axes before that have gotten cracks with no epoxy in there, and it's worked out very well. So I wouldn't be concerned about that. You're really wanting to get display. You just don't want to blow it out to where the wood comes off, okay? So pay attention to your barrel wedge. If it looks like it's too wide, put it in a vise and narrow it down a little bit. That's all you got to do. And then you can put it back in there, shove it in there, and it won't blow out your sides, and you'll have a really nice fit. And as you guys know, I like using steel barrel wedges for axe throwing, because the steel barrel wedge will take a lot of brunt with axe eye hits. You know, if you over rotate your axe and your eye hits the target, that steel barrel wedge will prevent the handle from going down, the head coming up and getting movement. That's why I like using steel barrel wedges. But all in all, not bad. One thing I'm taking away from doing this with the World Axethrowing League handling axe head is that I'm going to bring it down a little bit farther. I think another 1/4 of an inch would have been better because this axe handle up here is really brittle. It's dry and it doesn't take many hits, and you'll start cracking before you even seat it permanently. So in my experience, in my opinion, you can either seat it the way it comes with that little bitty curf they got way up top, or you can bring it down pretty far and get that top edge cut off because it's really brittle, okay? But all in all, not a bad hafting job at all. As you can see here, guys, it's splayed over really nice. It looks like crap right now, I will say that. However, I got to let the wood dry before I go back in with sandpaper and clean it up. But it looks really good. I'm really happy with the way that it sat. I probably would have liked to have had it down a little bit farther, but it's good where it is. I think it is. Threw it a bunch. It wasn't moving at all, so I think we're good there. So I hope you enjoyed the hafting video. I will tell you guys, the next hafting video we're going to do, and I'm going to show you guys how I do it, is with the Ragnar throwing axe by the World Axethrowing League. The reason why I'm going to redo this one is because, as you guys know, we got movement. You can see there, we got movement. However, this handle has proven itself. My dad's thrown it, I've thrown it, and it's held up. It hasn't cracked, it hasn't broken. It's been thrown a lot, and the handle's been beat up, and it's still working. So whenever I get an axe handle like that, if I can continue to use it, I'm going to. So in the next hafting video, I'm going to take this axe head, I'm going to take it off this handle, and I'm going to reuse this handle. I'm going to take the steel barrel wedges out, and we're going to bring it all the way down here, and we're going to reuse this handle because I think it's worth saving. So if you're interested in saving a handle, or you got a handle that works and it's come loose and you want to learn how I do it, or I can show you guys how I do it, come back and watch this one and I'll show you guys how I do that. What I'm going to do is I've got this axe to get through, and there's 1 or 2 others in the house that I got to rehaft. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a part 2 where I'm going to take all of these after I've rehafted them, and I'm going to do design work in them. I might take some weight off some of the heads. I might redesign the handles, do some cool colors on them, so on and so forth. And then on part 3, guys, I'll take all of these axes out and we'll throw them. Throw all of them, test them out, see how well they fly with the new handles, and we'll do some adjustments if we need to. But I can't wait to finish all these and see how well these axe handles perform. Are the World Axethrowing League axe handles good enough to haft on your axe heads? Are the replacement handles good? Don't know yet, guys. We did find that the tops are a little brittle. I guess we're going to have to finish these up, throw them, and see how well they perform. But until next time, guys, see ya.
All this talk about brittle makes me hungry. Now I want peanut brittle, the kind that can chip a tooth.